Now, this is going to take just a second, so bear with me. But if we go back 365, we go back 12 months ago. You know, we began what is our fiscal year 2020. It began last June. And last July 1st. Now, and it runs through this June the 30th. Now, when we had just come off a year that we had produced record surpluses beyond belief, in the 2019 year, we produced record surpluses of $511 million, which was which was equivalent to what we had produced in the last 10 years. We produced it in 1 year. Now, so when we did that, we spun that budget level into 2020. So in 2020, for us to have met the budget in 2020, we would have had to have one heck of a good year. We started off the year rough. We came right out of the box in July, and we had a 32.4 or something like that, right at $33 million hole in the bucket. Well, we were worried. And then all of a sudden, August came in at another $33 million hole in the bucket. And we had $66 million that we were upside down in the first 2 months of the year. And so we had to contemplate cuts. And we had to contemplate cutting into a lot of different people. My revenue people said, hold on, Governor, let's just wait until we get September in, which will be the last month in the first quarter of the year. Well, September had a lot of promise, and then all of a sudden it started to wane as well. We watch it every day, every single day. And so as September waned, and it came in about a $6 or $7 million to the good, if I remember correctly, and I could be a little off in my numbers. But as September came in nowhere close to as good as what we had hoped, we knew we had a real problem, so we had to start moving right in to make real plans to make those cuts. I kept trying to hold my hands on the reins and hold back because I didn't want to make the cuts. I didn't want to hurt people in any way if we could prevent it. And now October, November, and December have come in, and we're a little bit better. And we're still holding the reins and saying we're not going to make these cuts if we don't have to make them. And then January and February came in, and we were a little bit better. So now we're at the point in time where we absolutely know we're probably not going to have to make the cuts. And then March, right before this COVID situation really grabbed us, March really came in pretty decent because all the stuff was already baked. All the cake was already done. And we were within $6 million of being our head above water from 66 million down. And then all of a sudden, April rolled in at a $192 million deficit because of the COVID situation, plus the fact that we moved the income tax filing date from April 15th to July 15th. We had a tremendous deficit at that point in time. And at that point in time, my revenue people told me, probably, Governor, you can probably forecast at this point in time a $525 million deficit. It was really, really difficult. And we had to try to figure out what in the world to do. Now, from all of that, we had monies available to us and everything in reserve accounts. We took those because we had to take those, at that point in time to have available cash and keep our head above water. We had an increase in the matching dollars on Medicaid from the federal government that we knew were backfilling those dollars as we went. We kept moving the numbers as best we possibly could, and all of a sudden, we started to reopen, and I'll never forget this call one night, probably about 10:30 or 11 o'clock. Bray Carey and I were talking on the phone, and Bray said, Governor, can you believe this? Can you believe these numbers keep coming in better? These numbers, Governor, are coming in like you thought they were going to come in. Can you believe that? Can you really believe that this reopening that we're doing is producing these kind of numbers? And I said, Bray, now I'll never forget this. I said, Bray, I've known this all along, and I've just not told anyone hardly. But you see, West Virginia, you never really closed. You never really closed, and the economic numbers had to continue to be better than what we thought. What we did is we closed everything to protect you, and we did that, and yet we kept our essentials running. We closed our schools, we closed our bars, we closed our restaurants, we closed the government, we closed all, the hair salons and the barbershops and places where we knew you would be in close contact with one another. We closed our big gatherings. We closed the state tournament. We closed all the things that we knew were important to protect you. But I knew all along that the engine was still running. Now, that $525 million deficit is now down to $285 million. The reserve funds that we have, we're going to have plenty of cash to go out through the end of the year, no problem. No problem whatsoever. And the amazing thing that you'll find is just this, is the reserve funds that we use cash to go down have now, by June the 30th, have now been completely, totally replenished. Now, how's that possible? And it's possible through the federal grant that is the federal match that is out there right now in regard to Medicaid. So what we've done is we've used our reserves, we have not rainy day, and we have replaced our reserves 100%. And the other thing we have done is we have basically replenished dollars that we were allowed to turn in by the guidelines. We have replenished those dollars, and lo and behold, we're going to run across the finish line on June 30th with a surplus. It's not going to be much. It's only going to be probably about, less than $10 million. But absolutely, we're going to go across the finish line with a surplus in a year that our experts predicted we were going to be $525 million upside down.